LT, that sounds terrible. I mean, is it the death of brick and mortar retail? That's what you're trying to tell us right now?
I know. Well, I hate to bring the bad news so early in the morning, but I mean, it's true. You look at how this category, I guess, even prior to the recession was performing, and we already saw trouble in the department store space. There's no denying that. You had Sears file for bankruptcy, Barney's New York, Bon-Ton. So a number of stores have gone under over the years. And fast forward to the pandemic, and I think in many ways it's just accelerated kind of the demise of this space. Already this year, we've seen Neiman Marcus, JCPenney, Stage Stores, and now most recently Lord & Taylor file for bankruptcy. And now Lord & Taylor, which is the oldest department store in the nation, is liquidating entirely, gone. And so, you know, Macy's results, like you said this morning, we're watching a few of those key numbers will certainly give us a better picture at just how department stores are faring through this pandemic. But unfortunately, you know, I don't think the prospects are very bright for this space from here, and just hundreds of these stores altogether are closing.
It used to be there was a time, and it wasn't that many years ago, maybe just 3, 5, 7, 10 years ago, in that last decade, when we referred to Macy's / Bloomingdale's as like a beacon of strength with regard to brick and mortar retail. And then we'd look towards other companies that were in secular decline with issues, maybe like a JCPenney or others like that. Why is Macy's now in such a dire situation, and what can they do to turn things around?
Sure. Well, I think you look at the space and just the business model at its core. I mean, department stores were kind of known to be, they were anchors at the mall. They drove traffic, and brands kind of flocked to them to have placement on their shelves. And so, you know, that's where people would go and discover new things. I mean, it kind of goes without saying with the rise of Amazon and the ascent of e-commerce, that model, just you know, there's no longer that necessity, I guess, to go to the department store. Like, you used to get everything there, your furniture, your clothes, your luggage, your electronics for your kitchen. And we've seen, you know, specialty brands kind of come into that space and take over certain categories. So someone like a Macy's, you know, they've really been trying to reinvent their private labels, for example, to give customers a reason to go to Macy's when you could find everything else on Amazon. And so, you know, certainly that's one of the things I know they've been focused on. Department stores also are kind of notorious for having a lot of real estate. Macy's still has hundreds of stores. Back in February, prior to the pandemic, they said that they plan to close about 125 locations over 3 years. I think one of the things that when I speak to analysts, they're really looking for today is for any update on those plans. And certainly we might anticipate an acceleration, maybe some additional store closures to come from Macy's even sooner.
All right, and beyond Macy's, what else are you going to be looking for as we kind of wind down the retail earnings season this time around?
Sure. Well, we've already had reports from both Nordstrom and Kohl's, and again, those were not great. I think Nordstrom in particular was very underwhelming. Its online sales were down for the latest quarter, and then you see companies like Best Buy and Target reporting triple-digit growth online. So it's really, there's this stark contrast between kind of the haves and have-nots in retail. There are a number of situations still playing out that we're watching. Obviously, like I mentioned, the liquidation of Lord & Taylor is ongoing. JCPenney is an interesting story. So they filed for bankruptcy during the pandemic, and they're still working through their restructuring in bankruptcy. They had a number of bidders that were in talks to acquire the company, but as of this week, we learned that those talks have hit a stalemate. So JCPenney is kind of looking for a last-minute deal from its lenders to potentially save that company.